Hi. That day marked our 11th Valentine's together. Not a milestone, not an anniversary, just a day. I had circled it on my calendar with the same hopeful, almost foolish expectation I carried every year. It's strange how long you can cling to a version of love that vanished long before the dates caught up. Happiness had left us some time ago. We weren't arguing or slamming doors. We were just slowly fading. Conversations had become functional. Touches became rare. I kept telling myself, couples go through rough patches, but a patch doesn't stretch on for 2 years. Yet when she texted that she'd booked a table at Lisson's, the elegant French spot we used to dream about when we were broke, I took it as a spark, maybe a signal, possibly even a turning point. I told myself she wouldn't bother if she didn't care. I bought her flowers, put on the shirt she once said made my eyes look kinder, even practiced a little toast in the mirror, something light, honest, about rediscovering one another, about remembering who we had been before the cracks appeared. She refused to let me drive. "I'll meet you there," she texted casual, like it was lunch with colleagues, and a tiny knot twisted inside me, though I ignored it. I got there early, perched at the bar, sipping water with lemon, checking my phone like a nervous teen. 15 minutes late. 20. By 30, I felt like a ghost drifting through my own life. Then I saw her. Not walking in, already seated by the window in a red dress I hadn't noticed before. Low back, elegant, purposeful. She was laughing, leaning towards someone else. A man young, clean-cut, that smugness men get when they think they've won something they don't understand. I froze, staring as if blinking might erase the scene. Maybe I'd misread it. But no, it was her. My wife. Our reservation. Our night. And I wasn't the guest beside her. I sank back on the bar stool, the air suddenly thick. The bartender, probably not more than 22, asked if I was okay. I nodded, ordered a whiskey neat. I could have stormed over, made a scene, tossed the flowers at her feet, demanded explanations in front of strangers. But a part of me, the part that had been dying slowly over the past few years, wasn't shocked. Hurt? Absolutely. Devastated? Yes. Surprised? Not in the slightest. I watched them, saw the way she smiled at him, noticed how she tucked her hair behind her ear the same way she used to for me. She gave him the charm she once reserved for me, the same spark she'd used to light up around me when I was her whole world. She ordered wine, the same Pinot Noir we used to share on special nights. I remember, because I used to joke that it was the only expensive thing she loved more than handbags. She clinked glasses with him. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw her smile, radiant, and in that moment, a calm settled over me. A stillness, a clarity that doesn't come from anger, but from finality. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the envelope. I had brought the papers that night, not because I was sure, but because a part of me already knew, even before she showed up alone. I'd been holding on to a version of us she had abandoned. The kind where love was messy but worth fighting for. But love doesn't sit across from someone else on Valentine's Day and forget your name. I paid for my drink and walked over to the host stand. "Excuse me," I said. "Is there a table by the window under the name Holloway?" The host checked and nodded. "Could you do me a favor?" I asked, sliding an envelope across the counter. "When dessert arrives, would you give this to the lady in red?" He paused. "Is it a gift?" I smiled. "Something like that." Then I walked away. No confrontation. No last words. I didn't need them. She had her table for two. She had her laughter, her wine, her new beginnings. And I had her signature waiting on page 6. I drove aimlessly after leaving the restaurant. No destination, just motion. That quiet kind of driving where your own breathing drowns out the radio. City lights streaked past the windshield like the years we spent building something I believed was permanent. I wasn't crying. Not yet. That would come later. First came the dull ache behind my eyes, the one that lands when a heavy truth finally sinks into your chest. By the time I pulled into the parking lot outside our townhouse, it was past 10. Her car wasn't there. Naturally. She was probably midway through dessert, sipping espresso, maybe playing footsie, maybe laughing. That laugh, God, that laugh at something he said. I used to chase that sound, thinking it meant everything. Now it rang like a cruel punchline. The house was dark. I didn't turn on the lights. I wandered through the rooms like a stranger, noticing everything differently. The framed wedding photo on the bookshelf, her hand on my chest, her eyes lifted toward me as if I were the only thing that made sense. The dried flowers she refused to toss, still hanging in the kitchen, like memories trapped in amber. I lingered in the bedroom doorway. The bed was made, hospital corners tight, the way she liked it. 2 pillows. One life that I sat on the edge, fingers digging into my knees. What did I miss? There's always a trail, little signs. And looking back, I could see it had been there for years. I just refused to follow it. She started working late again. At first, I felt proud, telling her she was finally getting the recognition she deserved. But then came the business trips she never needed before. New passwords on her devices. A change in the way she spoke, as if I was interrupting something more important. We stopped laughing together, stopped dreaming. Sunday mornings spent planning imaginary vacations, Italy, Greece, little coastal towns we couldn't pronounce. Those ended too. The last time we spoke about the future, she said, "I more than we." And yet, I stayed. Maybe because I loved her. Maybe because I feared being alone. Or maybe I thought loyalty meant enduring the pain. A little past midnight, I heard the garage door. I didn't move. She came in humming. I knew the sound of her heels on the hardwood. She paused in the kitchen, probably noticing the darkness. I could almost hear her mind calculating, switching to defense mode. She wasn't foolish. She was precise, deliberate. A woman who didn't make careless mistakes. Her voice floated down the hallway, "You're up." I stayed silent. A beat, then another. She appeared in the doorway, still in the red dress, holding her heels in one hand and her phone in the other. Surprised, but not guilty. That was the worst. She didn't even seem to think she owed me shame. "Didn't you shell out?" she asked. "I did," I said, finally looking at her. "You just weren't at our table." Silence. "I thought I texted you." "Yeah," said, "see you there," she added, defensively shifting her weight. "Look, I didn't mean for it to come out like that." I stood. Not quickly. Not angrily. Just done. "I left you something," I said. "With the host. You'll probably get it when your chocolate soufflé arrives." "What papers?" she asked. "You'll recognize them," I said. "Probably been expecting them longer than I have." The air shifted. Her mask slipped, if only slightly. Eyes narrowing, lips parting, a flicker of panic. Not because she loved me, but because she'd lost control of the story. "You're serious?" she asked. I nodded. "Because of dinner," she said. I laughed. Really laughed. Not from humor, but at how ridiculous it sounded. "No," I said. "Because of everything before dinner. Dinner was just dessert." She opened her mouth, closed it. I could see her thinking, the lawyer waking up, not the woman who once promised forever. That version of her was gone. "I didn't cheat," she said. "You didn't have to," I replied. "So that's it." I picked up the overnight bag I'd packed 2 days ago. I'd been waiting for a sign, a final push. She handed it to me over wine and candlelight, with someone else. That was it. I walked past her. She didn't reach for me, didn't follow. Just stood there barefoot in a house that ceased to be ours the moment she made someone else her Valentine. I didn't go far. Checked into a modest hotel nearby, one of those roadside chains with beige carpets and humming vending machines. The kind of place you stay when your life feels mid-collapse. Quiet, sterile, safe. I lay in bed, fully clothed, shoes on, staring at the ceiling like it might spell out what came next. Morning arrived too quickly. I hadn't slept. My phone lit up shortly after 7 a.m. Her name flashed. One word, "Why?" I didn't reply. I didn't know her anymore. A second message followed, longer, pleading to talk, claiming she was blindsided, insisting she never imagined I'd walk away like this. That phrase twisted my chest as if the betrayal had been mine. I deleted it. Instead, I called my lawyer. The divorce was clean. I'd prepared. Over months, even before proof, I quietly separated finances, shifted investments, closed joint accounts. Not spitefully, out of survival. She contested at first, called it drastic, insisted we could fix things, even cried once in mediation when she realized I wasn't bluffing. But it wasn't sadness in her eyes. It was panic. Expected consequences. That was her blind spot. She played emotional chess like the board had only kings. But love isn't a game, and I wasn't a pawn. In the weeks that followed, I moved into a small apartment. Nothing grand, just mine. Honest air, bare walls for a while. Space that didn't whisper her name with every step. Friends reached out, some who'd noticed the cracks before I did. Greg invited me for drinks. I almost refused. Laughter felt foreign, but I went. That night we laughed. Truly laughed. Not because life was perfect, but because, for the first time in years, I wasn't pretending it was. Over time, I started running again. Took up cooking poorly at first. Read books I'd bought years ago but never touched. Wrote pages and pages. Letters never sent. One to her, one to myself, one to the man I had been. I had tried to earn love by sacrificing my own. Eventually, I found forgiveness. Not for her choices, but for mine. For staying too long. For believing the best in someone who no longer believed in us. Now, every Valentine's Day, I do something quiet. I take myself out. One seat. One meal. No flowers, no toast. Just me and a table I belong at. This year, I returned to Lucien's. Sat by the bar, watched couples take selfies, felt the flicker of new love and the weight of old, both dancing in candlelight. I raised a glass, not to what I lost, but to what I finally let go of. Because sometimes the most romantic act is leaving the table when you're no longer being served. Bye-bye.